He saved the enemy's child, and now the alien queen demands him. The war between humans and the alien empire had been burning for years. Entire star systems were broken, and planets were left silent after the battles passed. No one remembered how it truly started. Humans only knew one thing now: survive or disappear. The battlefield on Karos 9 was chaos. The sky was dark with smoke, and broken ships burned across the rocky ground. Explosions echoed like thunder, shaking the ruins of what was once an alien city. Human soldiers moved carefully between shattered walls, their armor scratched and blackened from days of non-stop fighting. Among them was a human soldier named Elias. He was not famous. He was not a commander. He was just one man with a rifle, moving forward because retreat meant death. His unit had been pushing through enemy territory when a sudden bombardment split them apart. A massive blast threw Elias into the remains of a collapsed structure. When he woke, his ears rang and his vision blurred. The battlefield noise slowly returned: distant gunfire, alien war cries, and the sharp crack of human weapons. Elias forced himself up, ignoring the pain in his ribs. His communicator was dead. No signal. He was alone. He checked his weapon, still working. He took a breath and moved deeper into the ruins, staying low, using shadows and broken walls for cover. Alien patrols were everywhere. Tall figures with armored bodies and glowing markings moved through the smoke, hunting any surviving humans. Elias knew the rules of this war. No mercy. The alien empire never took prisoners. Humans responded the same way. That was how it had been for years. Then he heard a sound that did not belong on a battlefield. It was a cry, not a battle cry, not a scream of rage, a cry of fear. Elias froze. The sound came again, soft, broken, and desperate. It was higher than an adult alien's voice. Smaller, weaker, a child. His heart pounded. It made no sense. Alien civilians were evacuated before battles, especially children, especially royal blood. Elias moved carefully toward the sound, every instinct screaming that it was a trap. He stepped over rubble and melted metal until he reached a collapsed hallway. Large stone slabs had fallen inward, creating a narrow opening. Inside the shadows he saw her. She was small, curled beneath a broken pillar. Her skin shimmered with faint colors, marked with glowing lines that pulsed weakly. Blood, dark and thick, stained the ground beneath her leg. One arm was trapped under debris. Her breathing was fast and shallow. Elias recognized the markings instantly. Royal crest. His stomach dropped. This was no ordinary alien child. This was the enemy queen's child. One call on a working communicator could end the war for him. If the aliens found him here, they would tear him apart slowly. If humans found out he spared her, they might call him a traitor. He raised his weapon. The child looked at him. Her eyes were wide, filled with terror but not hate. She tried to pull away, but the rubble held her tight. Another weak cry escaped her. Elias lowered the gun. He had seen death too many times: burned cities, broken families, screaming soldiers. But this was just a child trapped in ruins she did not create. He whispered to himself, "You didn't choose this." Slowly, carefully, he stepped closer. The child flinched, pressing herself against the stone. Elias removed his helmet so she could see his face. Dust covered his skin and blood ran from a cut on his forehead. "I won't hurt you," he said softly. She did not understand his words, but she understood his tone. Elias knelt and examined the debris. The pillar was heavy but not impossible. He braced himself and pushed. Pain exploded through his injured ribs, but he did not stop. With a strained breath, the pillar shifted just enough for him to pull her arm free. She cried out again, then went silent, staring at him in shock. Her leg was worse. Shrapnel had torn deep into it. Without help, she would bleed out. Elias opened his medical kit. Human supplies were not made for alien bodies, but blood was blood, pain was pain. He cleaned the wound as gently as he could. The child hissed, trembling, but she did not strike him or scream. She watched him with growing confusion. When he finished bandaging her leg, Elias tore a strip of cloth from his sleeve and wrapped it around her small shoulders to keep her warm. Distant alien voices echoed nearby. Patrols. Elias' time was gone. He lifted the child into his arms. She was lighter than he expected. Fragile. He moved deeper into the ruins, hiding behind thick walls as alien soldiers passed by, unaware. The child clutched his armor tightly, her breathing uneven but alive. At one point, an alien soldier stopped only meters away. Elias held his breath, pressing himself against the stone. The child buried her face against his chest. The patrol moved on. Minutes felt like hours. Finally, Elias found a narrow shelter beneath a fallen transport ship. It was hidden from scanners and shielded from the worst of the fighting. He laid the child down carefully and checked her wound again. The bleeding had slowed. "You're going to live," he said quietly. She reached out and touched his hand with trembling fingers. Above them the battle shifted. A massive explosion shook the ground. Elias knew the aliens would eventually sweep this area again. They would find her. They would find him. He made his choice. When alien soldiers finally arrived, weapons raised and voices sharp, they froze at the sight before them. A human soldier stood protectively in front of the Queen's child. His weapon was lowered. His body was positioned between her and danger. The child clung to his leg. The alien commander stared in disbelief. "Human," the commander said slowly, "step away." Elias did not move. "She's hurt," Elias replied, his voice steady. "I treated her. She needs real medical care." The aliens murmured among themselves. This was impossible. Humans were monsters, killers without honor, or so they were taught. The child looked up at the commander and made a weak sound, pointing at Elias. The meaning was clear. He saved her. Weapons lowered slightly. Orders were sent immediately. Across the battlefield, aboard the alien flagship, the Queen received the message. Her child lived, and a human was the reason. Her reaction was not relief. It was rage mixed with something far more dangerous: curiosity. "Bring him," the Queen said coldly. "Alive." Back on Karos 9, alien soldiers surrounded Elias. Energy cuffs locked around his wrists. He did not resist. As they led him away, the child reached for him again. An alien medic lifted her gently, but she cried out until Elias was brought closer. He met her gaze one last time. "You're safe now," he said. She did not understand the words, but she understood the truth. As Elias was taken toward the alien ships, he did not know his fate. He only knew one thing. On a battlefield ruled by hate, he had chosen mercy. And the galaxy would never forget it. Elias expected pain. As the alien soldiers marched him toward their landing craft, he prepared himself for the worst. He had seen what the alien empire did to human prisoners. There were stories, quiet ones, shared only in whispers, that spoke of slow punishment and cruel experiments. Elias kept his face calm, even as his heart raced. The energy cuffs around his wrists hummed softly. They drained strength but did not fully paralyze him. It was deliberate. The aliens wanted him aware, watching, feeling. Behind him, the battlefield of Karos 9 slowly disappeared in smoke and fire. In front of him, the massive alien transport loomed, dark and sharp against the burning sky. Its surface was marked with glowing symbols of royal authority. The Queen's ship. Elias was pushed inside. The doors sealed with a heavy sound that echoed through the corridor. The air inside felt different, cleaner, colder, filled with a faint metallic scent. Alien soldiers escorted him through long halls lined with strange lights and smooth walls. Every step took him farther from anything human. He noticed something strange. No one struck him. No one shouted. The soldiers watched him closely, but their weapons stayed lowered. Their eyes followed him with confusion, not hatred. Some even looked uneasy. News had spread fast. A human had saved the Queen's child. Elias was brought into a holding chamber. The room was wide and empty except for a single platform in the center. The cuffs released him just enough for him to stand freely, though invisible restraints hummed softly in the air around him. A voice echoed through the chamber, translated instantly. "Remain where you are." Elias did. Time passed slowly. He replayed the battlefield again and again in his mind. He wondered if the child was alive, if the alien medics had saved her leg, if she was afraid without him nearby. The doors opened. Alien guards entered, followed by figures wearing elegant armor, members of the royal court. At their center walked the alien queen. She was taller than any soldier Elias had seen. Her presence alone pressed down on the room like gravity. Her armor was dark and beautiful, etched with ancient symbols that glowed softly. Her eyes burned with intelligence and controlled fury. She did not sit. She stood before Elias, staring at him in silence. This was the being humanity feared, the ruler who ordered the destruction of human colonies, the queen whose name was spoken with anger and dread. Elias met her gaze. He did not bow, he did not speak. The queen circled him slowly. "You are human," she said. "Yes," Elias replied. "You were found guarding my child." "Yes." "You did not kill her." "No." Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" The question echoed through the chamber. Alien commanders leaned forward, waiting. This moment mattered more than any battle. Elias answered simply. "She was hurt. She was alone. She's a child." A ripple moved through the court. The queen stopped walking. "You knew who she was," the queen said. "It was not a question." "Yes, and you still chose to help her." "Yes," the queen's voice sharpened. "You chose her over your own survival." Elias paused. "I chose not to let a child die." Silence followed. The queen raised one hand. A holographic image appeared in the air. It showed the battlefield ruins. Then it showed Elias lifting her child from the rubble, shielding her with his body, treating her wounds. Proof. "You understand," the queen said slowly, "that your kind has slaughtered my people, burned our cities, killed our young." Elias swallowed. "Yes. And still," she continued, "you show mercy to the blood of your enemy." "Yes. Humans are said to be cruel," the queen said. "You are said to kill without thought." "That's not true," Elias replied. "We fight hard, but we protect what matters." The queen studied him for a long moment. "Remove him," she ordered. Guards stepped forward and escorted Elias out of the chamber. He expected anger, execution. Instead, he was taken to a secure room, not a cell. Clean, warm, food was provided, human food. Elias stared at it in disbelief. Across the ship, the queen stood alone with her advisors. Her child rested in a healing chamber nearby. The medics reported the wound would heal, slowly but fully. The queen looked through the glass at her daughter. The small body slept peacefully, one hand clutching a piece of human cloth Elias had used to keep her warm. "She refuses to release it," a medic said quietly. The queen's jaw tightened. "Bring the human again," she said. Hours later, Elias was escorted to the healing chamber. He froze when he saw the child. She lay surrounded by soft light, her color stronger now, her breathing steady. Her eyes opened. She saw him. She sat up slightly and made a soft sound of recognition. Elias stepped forward without thinking. The guards tensed, but the queen raised her hand. The child reached out. Elias gently took her hand. "She remembers you," the queen said. "She's brave," Elias replied softly. The queen watched the interaction closely. There was no fear, no manipulation, just trust. "You risked everything for her," the queen said. "Why?" Elias looked at the child. "Because if we forget how to care, then we've already lost." The queen turned away. Later, a crisis erupted. A group of alien extremists, those who believed the war must never stop, attempted to sabotage the healing chamber. Their goal was simple: kill the queen's child and blame the human. Alarms screamed through the ship. Elias felt the vibration first. He moved instinctively, stepping in front of the child as energy blasts struck the walls. Smoke filled the room. Guards rushed in, firing back. One attacker broke through. Elias lunged. He grabbed a fallen alien weapon and shielded the child with his body. A blast struck his shoulder, burning through fabric and skin. Pain tore through him, but he did not fall. Security forces overwhelmed the attackers moments later. When the smoke cleared, Elias was still standing, bleeding, protecting the Queen's child. The Queen arrived seconds later. She saw everything. The damage, the fallen attackers, the human soldier kneeling beside her daughter, wounded but unbroken. Something changed in her eyes. That night the Queen summoned her council. "The human will not be executed," she announced. Shock filled the chamber. "He will remain," she continued. "He will be watched, studied." "And the war?" a commander asked. The Queen looked at the stars beyond her ship. "The war pauses," she said, "because one human reminded us what honor looks like." Elias lay in a medical chamber, his wound treated by alien healers. He stared at the ceiling, unsure of what future awaited him. But one thing was certain. He was no longer just a prisoner. He was something far more dangerous, a symbol. And the galaxy was beginning to notice. The pause in the war shocked the galaxy. Human command fleets received the signal first. Alien channels went silent. Attacks stopped mid-movement. Weapons powered down. No one trusted it. Many believed it was a trap. Others thought it was a mistake that would be corrected with fire. Inside the alien flagship, Elias felt the change before he heard the news. The guards outside his chamber stood less tense. The weapons that once followed his every movement now rested against the walls. Alien medics came and went, treating his burned shoulder with careful precision. They spoke little, but their actions were respectful. Elias was not chained. He was not locked in. But he was not free. He spent his days in quiet observation. Large windows showed stars drifting past as the ship moved slowly toward the alien capital world. The Queen had ordered it. She wanted Elias brought before the full royal council. And that meant judgment. Across the ship, the Queen watched her child grow stronger. The wound healed faster than expected. The young princess walked again, though she still limped slightly. She asked questions about the human, about why he was hurt, about why he was not afraid. The Queen struggled to answer. She had ruled through strength her entire life. Mercy had always been weakness. Yet every time she looked at her daughter, alive because of a human, that belief cracked. When the flagship entered the alien capital system, the stars burned bright and blue. Massive structures floated in space, ancient, powerful, untouched by war. This was the heart of the Empire. No human had ever been brought here alive. Elias stood before a wide viewing window as the world came into view. The planet was vast and beautiful, covered in glowing cities and oceans that reflected the light of twin suns. "So this is it," he whispered. Guards entered. "It is time," one said. Elias was escorted through halls larger than any human building. The walls shimmered with history. Statues of past rulers lined the path, their faces stern and unyielding. Elias felt very small walking among them. The throne chamber awaited. It was enormous. The ceiling stretched high above, filled with soft light. Alien nobles filled the space, their armor polished, their eyes sharp. Military leaders stood together, tense and angry. Religious elders whispered among themselves. At the far end, elevated above all, stood the Queen's throne. The Queen entered with her child beside her. A murmur spread through the chamber. The child walked carefully, her hand held gently by the Queen. When she saw Elias, her face lit up. She pulled free and hurried toward him, ignoring the shocked gasps around her. She stopped just in front of him. She looked up. She placed her hand against his injured shoulder. The chamber fell silent. Elias slowly knelt so he would not tower over her. "You're walking," he said softly. She made a gentle sound, something close to a laugh. The Queen raised her hand. The child returned to her side. "The human will speak," the Queen said. Elias stood. Many eyes burned into him. "You stand before the heart of the Empire," the Queen continued. "You are accused of trespass, violence, and defiance, yet you are also credited with saving royal blood." A military leader stepped forward. "This human is dangerous," he said. "He manipulates through weakness. He seeks advantage." Elias did not interrupt. The queen turned to him. "You may answer." Elias took a breath. "I didn't plan anything," he said. "I didn't even expect to live. I just saw a child trapped in rubble. I did what any human should do." The council reacted. "Lies," one shouted. "Humans slaughter our young." Elias met their gaze. "Some do," he said honestly. "War breaks people, but war didn't make that child bleed. A collapsing building did." The queen watched him closely. "Why protect her again during the attack on the healing chamber?" she asked. "You were already spared." Elias answered without pause. "Because protection isn't a debt," he said. "It's a choice. You don't stop choosing just because it hurts." The chamber grew quiet. Then chaos erupted. An alarm screamed. Energy shields flared. A blast tore through one side of the chamber. Traitors. A hidden faction had waited for this moment. Their plan was bold: kill the queen, kill the child, restart the war in fire and blood. Panic spread. Elias moved before he thought. He grabbed the child and turned, shielding her as debris fell. A shockwave threw him across the floor. Pain ripped through his body, but he rolled, keeping the child protected. Alien guards fired back. Explosions rocked the chamber. The queen was knocked from her throne. A blade of energy burned toward her. Elias stood. He stepped between the queen and the blast. The strike hit his chest armor, shattering it. He was thrown hard against the floor. The air left his lungs. Darkness closed in. But he was alive. The attackers were destroyed within seconds. Silence returned. Smoke drifted. The queen rose slowly. She looked at Elias lying broken but breathing. She looked at her child unharmed. She walked to Elias and knelt. For the first time in her reign, the alien queen touched a human with her own hands. "He would have died," a commander said quietly. "For you, again." The queen stood and faced the council. "You accuse humans of cruelty," she said. "Yet this one has bled 3 times for my child. Twice for my life." No one spoke. "This is not weakness," the queen continued. "This is strength without chains." She turned to Elias as medics rushed to him. "You will not kneel," she said. "You will not be executed." The council reacted in shock. "The galaxy will hear this," the queen declared. "Humans are not monsters. They are dangerous for a different reason." Elias opened his eyes. "What reason?" he asked weakly. The queen met his gaze. "Because you choose mercy even when it costs you everything." As Elias was carried away for treatment, the child reached out again. He held her hand briefly. "You did good," he whispered. The stars outside the chamber continued to burn, and across the galaxy the story began to spread, not of a human warrior, but of a human who stood unarmed before hatred and did not break. The galaxy did not change in one day, but it paused. News spread across stars faster than any fleet. Human outposts received the message first: official, verified, impossible to ignore. The war was suspended. Not ended, suspended. Because of one human, because of Elias. On the alien capital world, Elias remained unconscious for 2 days. His body had reached its limit. Human armor had saved his life, but barely. Alien healers worked carefully, using a mix of their advanced science and human medical knowledge taken from captured data. They did not rush. They did not experiment. They treated him as someone important. When Elias finally woke, the room was quiet. Soft light filled the chamber. The ceiling shifted slowly, showing stars moving far above. His body felt heavy, but the pain was dull now, distant. He tried to move. "Do not," a calm voice said. Elias turned his head. The alien queen stood nearby, not on a throne, not surrounded by guards, just her. "You are safe," she said. "You will recover." Elias swallowed. His throat was dry. Did it work?" he asked. "The child, she lives," the queen replied. "Because of you." Elias closed his eyes for a moment. Relief washed through him, stronger than any painkiller. "That's good," he whispered. The queen studied him carefully. "You have altered the course of this war," she said. "Do you understand that?" Elias gave a weak smile. I just didn't want a kid to die." The queen turned away, looking at the stars. "That is what makes it dangerous," she said. Over the following days, Elias healed slowly. He was allowed to walk, always accompanied but never restrained. The child visited him often. She brought small objects, smooth stones, glowing shapes, things she liked. She sat beside him and listened when he spoke, even if she did not fully understand the words. He taught her simple human gestures, smiling, nodding. She taught him some of her sounds. Trust grew quietly. Meanwhile, the queen called for something the galaxy had never seen: a joint council, humans and aliens. Human leaders arrived carefully, escorted under heavy protection. They did not trust the pause in war. Many believed Elias had been broken or used as leverage. They were wrong. When Elias walked into the council chamber beside the alien queen and her child, human commanders froze. "He's alive," one whispered. "He's standing next to her," another said in disbelief. The queen spoke first. "This human was demanded by me," she said. "Not as a prisoner, not as a threat." She placed a hand on her child's shoulder, "but as proof." The council erupted in argument, accusations flew, old wounds were reopened, billions dead, worlds lost. Then Elias spoke. He was not a politician, he was not trained for this. But he was honest. "I won't pretend humans are innocent," Elias said. "We've done terrible things, so have you. War makes monsters out of everyone." He looked around the chamber. "But it also hides something else. The moments no one sees, the choices that don't make sense." He gestured gently toward the child. "I didn't save her because she was important. I saved her because she was small and scared and bleeding." Silence spread. The queen stepped forward. "This human will remain here," she said, "not as a hostage, not as a symbol of surrender." She looked directly at the human leaders, but as an envoy. Shock rippled through the room. "He will speak for his kind," the queen continued, "and he will listen to ours. He will stand where weapons once stood." One human general stood. "You're asking us to trust the enemy," he said. The queen replied calmly, "No, I am asking you to trust this human." All eyes turned to Elias. He felt the weight of it, the fear, the responsibility. He nodded. "I'll do it," he said, "not because I think it'll be easy, but because if we don't try, nothing ever changes." That day, the alien queen made her final declaration. The war would not restart. Not yet. Negotiations would begin. And Elias would remain on the alien world by the queen's demand. Across the galaxy, reactions exploded. Some humans called Elias a traitor. Others called him a hero. Alien extremists plotted revenge, but something unstoppable had begun. Weeks passed. Elias adapted to alien life. He learned their customs, their fears, their stories. He learned that many aliens believed humans were born without empathy. That mercy was a lie. He disproved it every day. The child followed him everywhere she was allowed. She laughed more now. She slept without fear. She healed. One evening, the queen stood beside Elias on a balcony overlooking her city. "You could leave," she said. "We would allow it." Elias shook his head. "Not yet." "Why?" "Because bridges don't walk away when people start crossing." The queen watched him for a long time. "You are not what we expected," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "Humans usually are." Far away, on a quiet human colony, children played beneath repaired skies. For the first time in years, no air raid sirens screamed. The war was not over, but it was no longer inevitable. And it all traced back to one moment on a ruined battlefield. One soldier, one child, one choice. Humanity had not won with fire. They had won something far harder: